Brian, I'm putting you on. You're on.
All right, what is up, everybody? We're doing something new today. And let me mute this. So, up until this point, my name is Brian Lewis, for those of you who don't know. And you've probably heard my voice on several videos up until this point, but we are doing something different now. From going forwards, around, I would say, 4-ish, maybe 4:30, mostly every day, but that has yet to be decided at this point. I will no longer be recording my audio for you guys to hear on Benjamin Dixon's channel. I will be presenting my arguments and my content to you directly, live streaming this way. And I'm doing it like this for a number of reasons. Number one, it's easier, it's quicker for everyone. And I would much rather like to interact with you guys directly, right? So I'm going to give maybe 30 more seconds. What's up, Angry Panda? And let's see, who else do we have here? Liu Kang. Oh, that's a pretty cool name. Uh, I'm a Mortal Kombat fan myself. And hey, what's up, Bryce Blackwell? And yeah, so this is pretty cool. I like this format because, like I said, I can communicate directly with everyone, and I think that's more personable. But this this whole thing is new. It is very new. So if there is anyone that is going to mess up something new, it is going to be I. It is going to be Brian Lewis. But
no one worse than me. I would mess up 10 times worse than you, and they can't see me just because I'm gonna, keep it kind of shady and just leave myself on a black screen for today at least. But yeah, no one would mess it up worse than me.
yeah, David is my wingman for today. So everybody say hello to David in the chat. What's up, torches and pitchforks? Let's see who else. King Jaffe Jofer. That's another amazing name. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get started. So I don't want to belabor this any longer than it needs to be. So what am I going to be talking about today? So in the future, I might actually do several stories, several topics, right? But today I'm just going to keep it simple, especially since this is the first time. So I'm just going to be talking about one article that David is going to be showing you momentarily. And it is basically about 3 states with Republican legislatures that have introduced bills in Florida. Oh, hold on. I just lost my screen. Give me 1 second here. The beauty of going live. Yeah, Florida, Mississippi, Indiana, Tennessee, several other states. It's a whole gang of them. In the wake of the violent coup attempt at the U.S. Capitol 2 weeks ago, they are attempting to criminalize Black Lives Matter protests. And you might be wondering, and this is why I wanted to cover this story, because I was wondering when I saw the headline, what does Black Lives Matter have to do with what happened 2 weeks ago? Absolutely nothing, but that's not stopping these GOP Republican legislatures, right? So this is being done by Republicans at the state level to pretend they care about what happened 2 weeks ago. It's a whole dog and pony show that they're playing, based on what happened 2 weeks ago at the Capitol. But what they really want to do is to continue to go after people on the left while they ignore the right-wing fascists that exist within their own circles. Right. So it's incredibly insidious. And yeah, Alicia, like you said, here we go. So the title of the article is "In Wake of Capitol Riot, GOP Legislatures, quote, rebrand old anti-BLM protest laws." And then the subtitle reads, "3 states introduced anti-protest laws since the Capitol insurrection, part of a wider push to criminalize dissent." Now, before I continue with this article, some of you guys might already be aware of this. This is not anything new. They have attempted for several years now, really, to criminalize dissent, to criminalize protest. But I wanted to cover this because this is especially insidious, because what they want to do is they want to, well, let me, before I get there, let me actually start reading the article. So I'm going to read the first 3 paragraphs, right? So within one day of last week's attack on the Capitol, at least 3 states introduced legislation to criminalize protests. The bills advanced by Republican lawmakers in Florida, Mississippi, Indiana, do not represent new strategies designed specifically to prevent future right-wing insurrections. Okay, they do not represent anything new. Rather, they draw from a set of policies that numerous state legislatures introduced this past summer, of course, 2020, in order to appear tough on protests against police brutality. So we all know, and this is, of course, now me speaking, we all know that protesting against the state is the thing that they worry about the most. It's the thing that they don't like the most. And of course, specifically about in terms of who's doing it. But as the second paragraph reads, Florida's and Mississippi's bills in particular represent a new brand of anti-protest laws on steroids, creating penalties for a wide array of activities from damaging monuments, like, for instance, Confederate monuments, to obstructing traffic. Okay, and this is something that we know is a common Black Lives Matter tactic. So it shows you who they're targeting with this stuff. The bills include measures that could encourage harsh law enforcement responses to protests, as well as provisions meant to prevent local governments from reducing police funding. So my name on Twitter is Brian Defund the Police Lewis. So this is even going after that, as the article will explain later. So the narrower Indiana bill would broaden the definition of rioting, which the Florida bill did as well, and would criminalize camping at the Indiana state capitol. The Mississippi bill would also allow the state to check this out, strip unemployment benefits from anyone who pleads guilty to participating in disruptive protests. Now, I'm not a genius by any stretch of the imagination, but I know this. A disruptive protest can be anything. Okay, they're labeling this stuff as a response to what happened last week, but we all know the reality is a disruptive protest includes anything that threatens capital, that threatens the status quo. So that includes left wing or leftist protest as well. But so before I continue, let me read here. King Jaffe Joffer says basically another anti-Black law. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And the article will actually cover Florida as well in the stand your ground law. And Daryl says certain dissent, not all. Yes, of course. And JD says all of these bills are unconstitutional. And yes, they should be considered that way for sure. And I certainly am in agreement with that. Now, I'm going to skip down a little bit, if you will, David. You don't have to read the paragraph that starts with the civil liberties, and then the concern is that the attack on the Capitol Hill. I'm going to start here where it says amid. So, amid nationwide actions against police brutality this past summer, a number of states introduced new legislation expanding penalties for rioting, unlawful assembly, or civil unrest. So in New York, Ohio, and Michigan, such bills were defeated. So of course that's good. Now, of course, New York and Michigan have Democratic governors. One of the things I'm kind of going back and forth between this paragraph and in my thoughts. That's kind of something that's going to be the norm when I do live streams. The beautiful thing about living in North Carolina is that I have a Democratic governor. We have historically, at least over the past handful of cycles, we've had a very right-wing legislature. So when if they tried to do something like this, luckily I wouldn't have to worry about it, but you guys might be living in other states where you do have to worry about something like this. That's why stuff like this is very problematic. But this is the next paragraph down, but Tennessee's anti-protest bill passed. So that's not good. And a total of 8 states still have legislation pending that would expand penalties for rioting, quote unquote, or participating in certain types of protest. So, you know, one of the things that white supremacists within government and a lot of the anti-democratic people within government will try to do is they will try to, uh, instead of shining a light on their own corruption, well, let me maximize this really quick. Bear with me one moment. Instead of shining a light on their own corruption, what they want to do is they want to distract away from what the majority of their own supporters are doing, right? They want to make it seem like the problem in this country, and I have this weird reflection on my glasses. I apologize for that. The main problem in this country is Black Lives Matter. That's what they want people to think. You know, the same people who are behind legislation like this, right, are the same ones who are supportive of the people storming the Capitol or the people that stormed the Capitol. And Trump has another rally planned for the 20th as well. So peep how they play games like this. On the one hand, they give tacit support to what happened 2 weeks ago, but then they turn around and say those Black Lives Matter protests are violent and should be illegal. That's deeply insidious. And I have a big problem with that. And based on what a lot of you guys are saying in the chat right now, yeah, I think you guys feel the same way. Good evening, Nick, Squirrel fam. So let me continue. It says simultaneously, states have continued to advance. Oh, this is perfect. Yeah. Simultaneously, states have continued to advance so-called critical infrastructure bills aimed at criminalizing protests against the fossil fuel industry. Ain't that some ish? Like, I really want to say something else, but I'm trying not to curse like a sailor on this stream right now. Yeah, let me read that again. States have continued to advance so-called critical infrastructure bills aimed at criminalizing protests against the fossil fuel industry. The quote unquote critical infrastructure bills are promoted by the right wing ALEC, American Legislative Exchange Council. Here they are again. Okay, these are the same people behind the Stand Your Ground law and a bunch of other problematic pieces of legislation. A membership group that links up industry groups and state legislatures to produce model legislation that is often introduced nearly verbatim. I'm spitting all over the place. Ohio's governor signed its new critical infrastructure bill on Monday, and 4 other states passed such laws in 2020. And then it says in parentheses, ALEC denied that it had any role in the spate of post-January 6 anti-protest bills. Okay. I don't know if you guys want to actually believe that or not. I know I don't. Although past anti-protest bills have certainly included a range of new rules under one bill, Page said this approach of, quote, throwing everything but the kitchen sink, end quote, at the issue of disruptive protests appears to be new, right? So she pointed to Missouri and South Carolina, 2 other states that I haven't even mentioned yet, which both introduced wide-ranging anti-protest legislation in December as additional examples. And then the next paragraph down, it says, together, the, quote, critical infrastructure, end quote, and other anti-protest laws constitute a renewed push to criminalize certain kinds of dissent. So this is why before I, David, you can go down to the sub part that reads Florida revives BLM bill. I'm not going to read it just yet, but I'm going to pause for a second. This is why we have to be very careful with any type of new, domestic terrorism law that gets passed or even gets proposed. This is why we have to really be mindful of the attempt to gaslight this situation. And it's not even an attempt, really. They are gaslighting everybody. because what gaslighting is when people or someone, it doesn't even have to be a group of people, it can just be one person, makes you think you're crazy. They make you second guess your own eyes. They make you second guess the reality that you see around you. That's what these Republicans are doing right now. They are going to their people, their constituents in Florida, okay, in Tennessee, okay, all of these states where these bills are being proposed. They're going to their people and they're saying, you know what you saw 2 weeks ago at the Capitol, that didn't actually happen. Don't believe your lying eyes. The problem with America right now is Black Lives Matter blocking streets. That's what they want you to think. That's gaslighting. They are making you question your reality. And if you're watching this stream right now, I already know that you have Teflon, shielding you from that. Because anybody that's in this family, anybody that's in this circle, I already know y'all are hip to a lot of this stuff. I'm not telling y'all anything that you don't already know. That's why I'm here. That's why I enjoy communicating with you guys so much, because I already know that you are aware of this stuff. And I hope that when this video is done, we can share it. We can, show your family members and let everybody else know, because trust and believe, everybody doesn't know this stuff, right? This article that I pulled from The Intercept is obscure to a lot of people. So it's very, very interesting. But before I continue, let me read some of these quotes here. So what's in the chat? Let's see. Tommy O.B. says Trump brought us back over 50 years. That's absolutely correct.
Ryan, I don't mean to interrupt your thought. There's also Twitch. I don't know if you're only looking at YouTube. I had dropped in Slack. I had dropped the Twitch link if you want to take a look at that now or towards the end too, just to show both sides.
Yeah, I'll check that out, because I don't actually. Yeah, that's great, because I actually didn't pull that up. But yeah, it's pretty insane. But yeah, I will continue on here. So let me pull the article back up. Yeah, so under where it says Florida revives Black Lives Matter bill. Let's see. Last September, standing alongside more than a dozen Florida law enforcement officers at the Polk County Sheriff's Office, the Republican governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who should not be the governor of Florida, he barely won, but that's neither here nor there, announced the Combating Violence, Disorder, and Looting and Law Enforcement Protection Act. Man, that is a mouthful. A blueprint for the bill introduced in Tallahassee last week. So 2 paragraphs down, it says DeSantis said the legislation will be a, quote, focal point in the next legislative session. And in November, he went further, drafting, I hate even reading this, the, quote, anti-mob legislation that would expand Florida's stand your ground law. So this is what I was mentioning earlier in the stream, making it easier to shoot. Listen to this, making it easier to shoot and kill with impunity people looting property. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, wants to make it easier to kill people through the stand your ground law. Okay. A law that already has a bloody history to begin with, right? He wants to add more fuel to the white supremacist, flame that wants to use legislation like this to attack people. It's incredibly infuriating, right? He had, and then the article continues, it says he had also tried to push state legislators to pass his proposal ahead of the November elections during a special organizational session not typically used for legislating. According to Florida Democratic State Rep Anna Escamani, I'm bad with names, but I didn't butcher that one too bad. Several state senators had concerns with DeSantis's early proposals affording impunity to listen to this, affording impunity to people who attack protesters. And some of those pieces didn't make it into the new bill. Ron DeSantis is a problem. Okay. And we need to get behind any progressive running against him when he's up for re-election, because he shouldn't be in office. People like him get into office purely just to hurt others. I truly believe that, right? And we already know DeSantis is a Trumpkin. But then the next paragraph down, it says, it wasn't until the day of the attack on the Capitol, however, that a version of the bill was finally introduced. By then, DeSantis's rhetoric had changed. At a press conference last Thursday, DeSantis framed the measure as being aimed at protecting against incidents like the attacks at the Capitol. You see that. You see that Jedi mind trick, if you will, that he's pulling here. And then it says, quote, I hope maybe now we'll get even more support from our legislation because it's something that needs to be done. He told reporters. No, it doesn't. Ron DeSantis is full of crap. The bill is raising concerns among rights activists, as it should. The American Civil Liberties Union of Florida strongly criticized DeSantis's proposals and the current bill, condemning the governor for trying to rebrand, so there's the title of the article here, his crackdown on protests against police brutality as concern for what transpired at the Capitol last week. So it's like the Dave Chappelle joke. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. We already know what his agenda is. He's not fooling anybody. And of course, this is why federal legislation is necessary, right? This is why sometimes doing things on a state by state level is not good. I mean, sometimes it can be good, but sometimes you have situations like this. Okay, it's a disaster. I'm not reading this DeSantis quote here because I'm gonna skip down to the paragraph that says the latest. But before I do that, David, you said that there was, okay, I see it right here, Twitch. I want to pull that up. And while that comes up, Show King said, so if Black Lives Matter marches and protests against an injustice, he is basically given a shoot to kill order. Yeah, pretty much. That's what it sounds like, or at least that's what he wants to do. And it's not even just DeSantis. As I said, it's Republican legislatures. Well, let me mute myself on Twitch. It's Republican legislatures across the country. And Goku Just Saying has a link to the article in YouTube. So that's definitely good here. So I have Twitch pulled up. Let us continue. Bear with me one moment. I'm all over the place right now. Okay, so the latest version of Florida's bill, which Republican state rep, every time I continue, hold on one second. Sorry, family. Okay, the latest version of Republicans' bill, which Republican state rep Danny Burgess introduced on Wednesday, raises certain charges from misdemeanors to felonies. So not only are they trying to criminalize people, but they want you to stay, they have to feed that beast. They have to feed that prison industrial complex beast. Creates new crimes, including mob intimidation. What is that? Okay, seeks to protect Confederate monuments. Surprise, surprise there. Check this out. Usurps local control of policing by allowing state reviews of local decisions to reduce police funding. So this is there. And I heard something similar in Texas, right? Texas was trying to do something where they would penalize counties for defunding the police, and this is something similar. So what you might start to see if defunding the police really gains steam, and it starts to look like certain cities and towns and counties might actually start doing that, and some, if I'm not mistaken, that have gotten the ball rolling on that. States like Florida want to say, hey, hold on one second, before you do that, we're going to take your power away. We're going to strip power from you and make it so that you can't do that on your own. Maybe we need to start talking about local rights. They talk about states' rights. Now we need to start talking about local rights and waive sovereign immunity for municipalities, which would allow individuals to bring civil lawsuits against local authorities for not providing enough law enforcement protection. Check that out. So they are screwing people multiple ways. They want to take away from control from local, areas, from local towns. Okay. They want to make it easier to kill people who loot, or, just disrupting what's going on in the city. Yeah, because that's what's going to happen. It's not just going to be for looting. And then they also want to give people the ability to go after local authorities for not providing enough law enforcement if like a town defunds the police. Isn't that insane? Absolutely insane. The bill also blocks civil damages. Sorry. Hold on one second. The bill also blocks civil damages for people harmed as part of protest actions. For example, if someone is injured by a car that drives into a demonstration, right? Under the bill, anyone arrested at a protest will be detained until their first appearance in court, a measure typically reserved for cases where defendants posed an immediate threat to public safety. Burgess did not respond to requests for comment, of course. And then it has a quote here from the ACLU of Florida. Any insinuation, and this is a quote, any insinuation by the governor or legislative leaders that this bill is necessary to keep the public safe or prevent property damage is absurd, said Gross of the ACLU of Florida. And then it says, quote, the single intent of this bill is to silence and criminalize Black protesters and their allies who are exercising their First Amendment rights. Of course. So the next section down covers draconian bills. It mostly covers what's being done in Mississippi and some other areas. But before I read that, let me go back to the chat here. So V. Rankin says, Governor of Texas won't let cities defund the police. Yep, that's what I mentioned. And then let's see what else. Shoking said, real talk, if they don't arrest and prosecute all the insurgents from the Capitol attack, then the government should let all the people in Guantanamo free and compensate Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya. Hey, I'm in agreement with that. How can you just about that one comment that made me think about something like, how can you have Gitmo, right? And how can you be doing all of this stuff abroad in the Middle East under the guise of, oh, we have to fight terrorism, right? When you allow the U.S. Capitol to be stormed and you don't do anything about it. I find that complete, BS. And then let's see, Twitch. Let's see, Spike Villa Metal says, if you get a felony in Florida, you can't vote. That's the goal. Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of alternate goals, right? So not only do they want to take away the power from local areas for the reasons that the article mentioned, but just like the commenter said, it's also about criminalizing people. And it's also about taking away your rights as an American. So, and then it says, let's see, on Twitch it says when the person when there are 15 if I'm pronouncing that correctly. We could Hail Mary to the UN to ask for help with dealing with human rights violations. People had that idea, back in the day, and I don't think that's a bad idea. But I mean, it does have certain limitations. Like, first and foremost, we would have to make sure that the United States is actually going to abide by anything that the UN says, because since the United States sits on the Security Council, they really kind of have, and I'm not a UN expert, but we just have to make sure that that's actually going to be followed. And then Des Mayick says on Twitch, it's basically deputizing vigilantes and protecting them against charges if they kill protesters. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's right on the you hit the nail on the head there. So this last little section I'm going to read here under the subsection draconian bills. It says Mississippi Republicans. I knew that was about to happen. Every time the article comes up, the Zoom goes full screen.
It's me every time I share the screen, but I don't want to leave the article up when you're.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. For those who don't know, I'm not actually reading from the stream. I'm reading from, I have this app on my computer where I can highlight articles, right? So I'm actually reading the articles that I highlighted on my actual computer. So every time he shares the article, I have to minimize Zoom. But it says here, Mississippi politicians have said little so far about the sprawling anti-protest bill introduced the day after Trump supporters stormed the Capitol. But its text offers some clues about the provenance. The Mississippi bill bears the exact same name as the September version of the Florida bill, pushed by DeSantis, and contains some of the same language. All of these states are operating from the same playbook. What ALEC does is they literally have like a sheet that they print out to reps in local state reps in cities around the country, and that's why all of these bills look the same. The Florida bill, the Mississippi bill, all of these bills overlap because it's being written by the same group, right? It's like the Stand Your Ground bill. There's very little variation. I mean, there's some variation on a state by state basis, but a lot of this stuff is pushed by these same right-wing think tanks. And then it says, as in Florida, the Mississippi bill creates severe penalties for a remarkable array of activities. Just like what I just said, if the bill passed, a group of 6 or more people that threatens property, there's that protection of capital, or disturbs any person in the enjoyment of a legal right. Let me reread that. Just reading that sounds insane. Or, quote, disturbs any person in the enjoyment of a legal right could face up to 3 years imprisonment and a $5,000 fine. Essentially, criminalizing any protest that happens to annoy a bystander. If the person traveled, man, I don't know if y'all see, I hope y'all don't see that. I'm just spitting all over the place. If the person traveled from another state to participate, the minimum penalty would be 3 years imprisonment. All of this is just unnecessary. The bill would also create new jail sentences and fines for blocking traffic, throwing things, pulling down monuments, and causing emotional distress to a protest bystander. Anyone who pleads guilty to any of the new crimes would no longer be eligible for unemployment benefits. Any government employee who pleads guilty would lose their job, and anyone aiding a person who commits the new crimes could also face charges. This reminds me of those all-in sort of, gang laws that they passed back in the 80s, where, if you were just standing on a corner and you were just loosely associated with, maybe not even associated at all, you could have just, because you could have just been wearing the colors, right? You were lumped in, you were, pulled into that, and you were brought up on charges. You might not have had anything to do with it. But this is how they feed the prison industrial complex. This is why the United States has the largest prison population in the world, and it's absolutely disgusting. The bill also serves to incentivize harsh police crackdowns by encouraging victims of crimes perpetuated during a protest to recover damages from local governments whose policing was negligent, and preventing those who unlawfully participate in protests from suing local agencies such as police. Why would you think about this for a second? Why would you want to prevent those who unlawfully participate in a protest? And I don't even like the wording of that, but that's what they view it as. Why would you want to prevent someone from suing local agencies such as police? Just think about that for a second. I know y'all already know. You do that because when the police crack down, like a lot of those videos that we saw this past summer, every day there was multiple videos coming out. Police driving through, crowds of people, pushing the elderly man down. I can't remember his name, and I'm not even sure what happened with him. I hope he's okay. But the back of his head, was busted open because of the push from the police officer. That's why you do stuff.
About the guy in Buffalo, New York, right? The activist that Trump verbally went after when he got pushed by the cops in the height of the protests. Yeah.
Right. That's why you do stuff like this. That's why you prevent people from holding local police agencies accountable, because they know the crackdown is coming and it is going to be violent, and much of what's going to be done is going to be illegal. So they want to block you from even doing anything about it. And then the paragraph down, it goes into the Indiana bill. So the Indiana bill also introduced, one day after the insurrection at the Capitol, would broaden the definition of rioting and criminalize camping at the Indiana State Capitol complex. Protesters held 9 consecutive days of sit-ins at the state Capitol in June. So don't think, you see the word Capitol and you think that this has something to do with what happened at the U.S. Capitol 2 weeks ago. No. They're doing this because of, again, what happened this past summer in response to the George Floyd protests. Under the new bill, a gathering of 3 or more people who simply obstruct law enforcement or any other government function could be imprisoned for a minimum of 30 days. Sorry. The bill would also create a minimum 30-day sentence for anyone convicted of battery against a law enforcement officer, firefighter, or emergency medical service provider. A second Indiana bill introduced days before the Capitol unrest contains a wider array of protest-related penalties, including denying state benefits to people, yada, yada, yada. And then the last paragraph says, the idea that states are pushing these measures now to crack down on criminal activity is a farce, said Askamani. It's all these distractions in an attempted effort to basically elongate these controversies, because it serves the Republican Party. And that, my friends, is the end of that article. So you guys pretty much have heard my opinion on it, and I really wanted to share this article with you all because this country is at a crossroads right now. Either America is going to be a country that respects like all people and the right of all people to live and have their basic rights protected, or, and that path is what America should be, or you go down the path of chaos, the path of insurrection, the path of right-wing fascism, where the people who did what they did 2 weeks ago and might even do something later on this week, we don't know, hopefully not, nothing happens to them. They get a slap on the wrist, right? They get these misdemeanor charges. And I know they're talking about, hey, no, we're going to charge them with sedition and all this stuff. That hasn't happened yet. Right now, they're getting a slap on the wrist. While at the state level, they criminalize dissent. Something has to be done about this, family. And it is going to have to be federal, because I think, look, the more and more people become, and when I say people, I'm talking about people on the left, the more and more we become a deemed threat to the establishment, the more and more you're going to see bills like this pass. It's not just going to be one state anymore. It's not just going to be Tennessee. It's going to be all of these states and potentially more, especially, specifically the ones with a right-wing legislature and a right-wing governor, or at least a centrist Democratic governor who's a pretend Democrat, something like that, who's going to sign off on it. This is a problem. Let's see what the chat is saying. What it do, AB, the truth teller? It's a cool name. Stephanie says, brilliantly put, thank you. And Naslin says, I came in late. Criminalizing any protest is a fascist move. I'm in complete agreement, right? And then on Twitch, let's see what we have. Here. Let's see. Desmedic says it serves corporate overlords. Of course. And he also says, I wonder if these laws could be used against unions, keeping them from being able to strike against employers. You never know. That's the thing about stuff like this. It could be stretched out to potentially include anything, any type of protest. That's what I'm reading here. So we have to, we definitely have to be on our P's and Q's. Let's see. Jake says, he sent in a super chat, says the old man's name in Buffalo is Martin Gugino, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you for that. He had brain injury, but recovered. Yo, Brian, nice stream. You flowing. Thank you.
That's
like
our
I said at the beginning, I'm not sure if you caught. Oh, go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry, not Jake. David.
That's Jake, the producer. That's from our team. And we also had a $5 super chat from. Oh, that's my background. Sorry about that. We had a $5 super chat earlier from Dynamite Dragon saying, "Good to see the face behind the voice." We also had some cheers and follows in Twitch earlier.
Thank you for that, Dynamite Dragon. I was actually about to do it the way it was originally done, but I'm not going to make myself look silly on this stream tonight. And it's, like you said, good to see the face behind the voice. Thank you. So, like I said, I'm not sure who was here when the stream first started, so I'm just going to repeat myself at the end. Going forwards, this is how I'm going to be doing videos. I like this format a lot better. I like being able to bounce back and forth between the article and the chats. And I like being able to communicate with people directly, and I just want to talk to you guys and get your opinions in real time. Because it's one thing like recording something, and editing it, doing the edits and everything like that, then putting it out. It's another thing completely to be in the moment. And parts of this article I had highlighted, other parts I didn't. Some parts of the article I read for the first time, so you guys might have actually caught that. That's the beauty of being live, right? So there will be more of this in the future. Typically, we won't be doing it this late because I know it's 7. I'm on the East Coast. It's 7:10 p.m. on the East Coast. It's most of the time going to be around 4-ish, maybe 4:30 in the afternoon. So it's going to be like a nice, cool afternoon live stream. They're typically not going to run too long. They're typically going to run maybe 20, 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. I just did one article today because it's new. It's my first time doing it. And I just wanted to kind of get a feel for it, get a feel for the chat, get a feel for, everything pretty much. Going forward, we might have people come in, other people on the team. I'll be doing multiple articles. So it's going to be a whole thing. This is the beginning of something big. But yeah, like what other questions do you guys have here? I can answer anything. Well, most things. Let's see. Pranay says, Alec, a union busters. Yep. And then Mark Smith says, I prefer seeing you too. I prefer talking to you guys directly. And K Love says, I like it this late. Well, depending on how you guys feel, I mean, there's nothing wrong with me doing it this late. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, Jake said I think people like it. Well, we'll see. We'll play it by ear. I mean, right now, there's, to be honest with you, there's no real set time right now. But yeah, it kind of just depends on the flow, pretty much.
I don't know if
Let's
the
see.
audience if the audience likes it enough, we can always make a show of it. I think I think Brian can come up with a savvy name for him for his hour or for
Yeah,
his segments, and we can build it out a little bit.
yeah. Oh wow. So I didn't even. So this is like an inside scoop, guys. Me and David were talking before the stream started, and I was like, you know what? I didn't really know if I wanted to come on because I only had like this one article, and he was saying, hey, we should do it for maybe about 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can stretch this out for 30 minutes. I'm looking at Twitch right now.
I was going to ask you if you had any idea how long you've been streaming for.
Yeah, like I'm on Twitch right now, and it says I'm going on 50 minutes. See, guys, like I run my mouth a lot. Like I talk a lot, and then like I really get into these articles, and I start reading the articles sentence by sentence, and yeah, it kind of just naturally goes and flows the way that. By the way, I'm gonna stop speaking about that for 1 second. I used to have a YouTube channel, and this is not my first time live streaming, so it is kind of natural for me, you know. And then I did study theater in college, so I do like being in front of people. That's another reason why I prefer this live streaming method. So yeah, I'm glad you guys like it. Let's see, what else do we have here? Renee Dusud, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He says we are here for the growth, Trap Squad fam. Yeah, thank you for that. And let's see. Aurora says, I'm stoked to see you, Brian. Way better than just hearing you. I agree. And this is it says, Melissa says, I love deep dives. Wish all news was like that. This is why I started doing this when Ben hit me up, because I noticed that there was something lacking, in terms of media. There's a disconnect. Like I do videos, talking about what's going on in the mainstream media and stuff like that. But a lot of times it's not the same. Like the perspective that I want is not the same. If that makes sense. I don't know if that came out correctly. And I think what we're building here is something beautiful. I think it's something powerful. And you guys are the early adopters. That's why I call you guys family. Like in the future, like 5 years from now, I don't know if I'm gonna be saying that. Like, but you guys are like the nucleus. And we're building out like an entire, digital organism here, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is powerful. Go ahead.
Some comments from Twitch. I got to figure out how to maybe screen share some of the comments, because I don't have the same software that Ben was using when he was doing his live streams by himself. But Andy from Ohio was asking for some focus on the chat, and she actually said that you don't recover from brain injuries quickly.
I see that.
Speaking from experience, I think she might have been referring to sorry about that. She might have been referring to the guy that got hurt in Buffalo, the gentleman we referred to earlier, because I think he had an injury to the brain from that altercation.
That's right. And thank you for that comment, Andy from Ohio. And it's really unfortunate that happened to you, for sure. And I didn't nobody wanted to see that video. I was absolutely disgusted by it. So, especially at his age. And I mean, that would be harmful to anybody. But speaking as someone that also has someone in my family who had a brain injury, yeah, that's life-changing. that completely changes the way you function, right? So yeah, thank you for that comment. And when there are 15 again, said thank you, Brian. Thank you for joining. And let's see, what else do we have here in Twitch? Yeah, I don't want to neglect Twitch, but I do see something here on YouTube. Nick sent a super chat, says, Brian, I enjoy your energy and professionalism. You should continue to stream regularly. I will. Thank you for that. This is something that we will be doing. I don't want to say every day, at least not yet, but this is definitely something that we're going to be doing consistently. I will not from this point forward be doing pre-recorded videos. Because this is just better. Like, isn't this better? And then on Twitch, it says, Trekkie21 says it gives us more to work with because we often don't get enough credit to those who are often behind the scenes. So yeah, thank you. So let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, so
because she heard me a minute ago. Hi everyone. One of these days I'll show my face on the stream. I'm dealing with a pandemic beard and all that stuff. I just like to seem shady, seem suspicious a little bit, and not.
Yeah, David is being mysterious tonight.
Stay in the shadows,
So, but yeah, like that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. The article is read, and I hope you guys got something from it for sure. Well, also what we're going to do in the future, if there actually is something breaking, like really, really breaking, yes, I'll be a part of that. So when a situation like that, it probably won't just be me. It'll be me and several other people on the team. So just be on the lookout for that as well. And that's pretty much it.
Or we might just throw Brian to the wolves and make him do it himself. Just a one-man show on.
I can do that too, buddy. I can do that.
Apocalypse.
I can multitask, whatever is necessary.
Brian's going to be that last person in the studio talking to everybody while the world burns.
Yeah, so yeah, you probably wouldn't want to hear my voice in a situation like that. That reminds me of that Dave Chappelle skit, about Ja Rule, the world is burning. What do you want to hear from me for? But yeah, like I'll be around for sure. You guys can follow me on he said Goku just said Brian in the wild. Yeah, I'll be somewhere for sure. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at _Black Intellects. Like I said, you can see, well, at least you can see it on Twitch. My name is Brian Lewis. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, share if you're not already subscribed. Most of you probably already are. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I love this format. It was nice chatting with you guys. I have to get used to, that's something else. I'm not really used to looking at a camera. So if you see my eyes looking down, I'm actually looking at my computer screen. I'm not looking at the camera. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. See you guys tomorrow or the next day, and stay safe.